Hey, what's up, my Radical Squad? My name is Delmarshae Walker. Welcome back to my channel, and I hope everyone is having a great day today. In this video, I want to kind of touch on several different topics, but they all kind of got the same thing in common. A while back, I did a video about population control, and that we're running out of, and not just America, but just the world in general is running out of food, running out of land, because it's overpopulated. If you know anything about hunting, like with hunting deer, hunting alligators, different things like that, they do it as a way of controlling the population. In China, one of the ways they had of controlling the population is the one-child rule. You know, every married couple could only have one child. We're still running into the situation that we're running out of food and we're running out of land. So there are several things that has been going on that makes me feel like it's population control. One of the things, if you kind of think about it, there has been a lot of death lately. First, starting off with the virus, a lot of people died because of that. Then with the war in Ukraine, people are dying from that. At the same time a war was going on in Ukraine, there was also a war going on in Ethiopia. People died from that. And the earthquake in Turkey, a lot of people died. So recently it's like a lot of people dying, I would say it's over 10 million people done died from the beginning of COVID into now. It's like over 10 million, and it could be more because, you know, some people don't give all the information. China don't give all the information about, you know, how many people died because of the virus and different things like that, or how many people they're killing because they're killing Christians, they're killing prisoners, they're killing the Uyghurs. You know, they're not giving numbers on that. So just imagine if all these people were still alive and they was just dying of natural death. Like I said, the overpopulation would continue because some of these people would continue to have children, you know, grow their family, different things like that. But with all these deaths, that kind of that slowed down the population growth, and it also slowed down new life being formed. Also with what's going on in America with them euthanizing children by telling them they can change their gender, they're not going to be producing kids. You know, from the time they start taking those hormones and changing their genders, they're no longer within that population to repopulate the world. They're no longer going to have the ability to produce children. Excuse me. And then the other thing, like when we was talking about the eggs, a lot of people was focusing on eggs as far as just eating. You know, the farmers were saying they was having problems producing, their chickens wasn't producing eggs. And so most people was only thinking about it one way. There's not going to be enough eggs to eat. But if chickens cannot reproduce as far as laying eggs, that means no more chickens, you know, can be made. So that's going to slow down the food population. You're going to have less food available because even if, you know, they're not able to reproduce another chicken because they're not able to lay an egg. And just recently in Texas, over 18,000 cows, milk cows, was burnt up in an accident. So I'm just going to go ahead and show the videos to you.
As our population continues to grow, almost all scientists anticipate we're going to experience some problems. We'll inevitably face a shortage of fresh water and farmable land, which will only be further aggravated by climate change. And the average human lifespan, which rose from about 65 years in the early 1990s to just under 73 years heading into the 2020s, could begin to decline once more as a result of disease and starvation. Basically, this means that if the global population continues to accelerate without any limitations, then the quality of life is likely to decline for vast amounts of people on Earth.
But since Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed headed to the front lines last month, the government has claimed to have retaken a string of key towns in the conflict-ridden region. According to a latest New York Times report, drones have hovered over Ethiopia's sky. They've helped Abiy Ahmed achieve victory. Reports also suggest that the United Arab Emirates, Turkey and Iran have been supplying the war-torn country with the latest armed drones. This comes as the United States and other African governments called for peace talks. The motive behind supplying drones is not clear. One of the reasons could be money or gaining an advantage in this strategic area, which can help these countries build a sphere of influence in the region. The 13-month-old conflict between Abiy Ahmed and Tigrayan rebels has unleashed a political turmoil in Ethiopia. There have been reports of massacres, mass rapes and other atrocities. According to the United Nations, the ongoing fighting has displaced more than 2 million people. And more than 9 million people are in dire need of food aid and other assistance.
This is the remains of the South Fork dairy farm in Dimmitt.
Part of this main part here where the cattle are held is probably the total loss, possibly. The dairy part, there's probably some damage from the smoke and maybe the fire.
Sheriff Rivera says the extent of damage is still under investigation. It all started Monday night when Castro County Sheriff's Office had multiple calls coming in about an explosion and fire. Then more calls came in saying some employees were trapped inside a building. When officers arrived, they found only one worker inside.
Dimmitt Fire personnel entered with their self-breathing apparatuses and were able to pull that person out. Eventually, that person was flown to Lubbock by AeroCare to UMC.
We have learned that worker is a woman and remains in critical condition at last check. Upwards of 18,000 cattle also died. Now for the cause, it's still under investigation.
Believe it or not, this is the future of the meat industry. In just an hour, this printer by Redefine Meat can build you about 6.5 kilos or 13 pounds of fake meat.
The idea is to replace a cow. So each of our machines produce in a day exactly like a cow, up to 250 kilos in a single day.
And not just faux ground beef, as with other alternative meat products.
As far as we know, there is an amazing industry of alternative meat that is focused on mince meat. And actually, the meat industry is driven by the whole muscle cuts. Our technology can create whole muscle cuts just as a cow can produce that in a much more efficient way with a lower cost, and of course, it's much better for the environment. So we're introducing a new category. We can do the entire cow, not only one part of the cow that is actually side stream. Steaks, roast, slow cooking, grilling, everything that an animal can do, we want to do the same or even better.
And best of all, it's part of a push to save the planet.
This is the biggest problem we face today as humanity, and this is the best way to fight climate change, to deliver healthier solution and food to the entire population of the planet.
And the other thing that kind of had me suspicious about the things that's going on with the war with Ukraine, United States, and China. With the war in Ukraine, they put a sanction on Russia, and the sanction was to put them in a situation, in a position where they could not function, and by them not be able to function, have money, be able to support his country. That was supposed to make Putin bring the war to an end. But people were still buying Russian fuel. So the countries that was buying Russian fuel on one hand were supporting Ukraine on another hand. So it's like you're funding Russia to give them money to continue to move forward, to continue to support their country, but then also you're sending arms to Ukraine to fight against Russia. To me, that don't make any sense. It's like you're on one side or the other. But like I said, since we're the world that we're in now, it's like everybody depends on everybody in a way. They don't like it, so they have to play nice because you have something that I need, you have something that I need, or I have something that you need. You know, it's like that kind of balancing thing off. And because of the situation with everything is, you know, it's like everything everything is running out in certain countries. Certain countries have more of this than other countries. That's why, like I said, people are still buying fuel from Russia because they need it. They don't have any other option but to buy Russian fuel. And then you have other countries that kind of need everything from everybody. So they're jockeying for position. One main country that's doing that is China. A lot of people say, no, China is just trying to be, trying to keep peace. That's the thing that drives me crazy and I don't understand, because after he did the deal with Saudi and Iran as far as a peace deal, everyone wanted to keep throwing this word around connected with China. Peace, peace, peace. China making peace deals. China is a peace broker. China is trying to bring peace around the world. I don't see it that way, because how can you be looked at as a person that's keeping peace? And like I said before, you're killing Christians in your country. You're killing the Uyghurs in your country. You're getting ready. You want to start war with Taiwan. And then on top of that, you're harvesting organs. You're killing prisoners and taking their organ and selling them. It's like if, I can understand if I wanted a nose job and I traveled to a different country, they call it cosmetic tourism or medical tourism, something like that. And I go to a different country for that. Or if I broke my leg or my hip or needed some type of surgery, and I heard that there was a fantastic doctor in a different country, and I traveled to that country to meet with that doctor and get surgery. I understand that. But when you're dealing with organs, in America, there's a wait list for organ transplant. And everything has to match up, more or less perfectly. If not, the body is going to reject that organ. And it would be a waste of an organ that could have went to someone else. But China got medical tourism for organs. If you need a kidney, if you need a heart, if you need different things, you could travel to China and get it. There's no wait list or anything like that. They will match you up with someone. That's not possible, just to have it just like that. So, like I said, China is killing people, getting their organs, harvesting their organs, and giving it to the highest bidder, whoever can afford to have that surgery. And like I was saying about the United States, this is the other part that I don't trust about the United States. When I keep saying close the border, if you think about this right, how long have our borders been open? How long have they been telling our Vice President Kamala Harris to go down to the southern border to see what's going on? She kept putting it off. She kept putting it off. She kept putting it off. But as soon as she tried to voice her opinion on what Africa should do about their LGBTQ community, she hopped the plane and went to Africa to deal with them on how to run their country when she can't even go to the southern border to run her own country. That don't make sense to me. And the border is open, and like I said before, they're bringing drugs across the border. They're doing human trafficking with children, and then they're also bringing drugs across the border. And the drugs are coming from where? China. They're originating from China, coming through Mexico into the United States. Drugs are killing people. So like I said, population control. America, I told you, they're no better. They're harvesting organs also. They're doing all this other stuff. I did a video about that as well. So that's why the border is open and all this other stuff. So they figure if they let so many people come across, they can vote the way they want them to vote. They want to, some of the people, they want to be able to push it forward to be able to vote and stuff like that, so they could vote Democrat and keep the Democrat people in the office. But it's a lot of things that's going on that's not right. And in the middle of it is America and China. When the virus first came, who was in the middle of that? It originated in China, but who was working with China? Dr. Fauci. Who is Dr. Fauci? In America, who was donating money to China to do all this gain of function and all this stuff? America. So America and China keep talking about, acting like they're bumping heads, but are they really holding hands behind everyone back? Because it's like it doesn't make sense, the relationship that America and China got with each other, but they steady saying that we're not friends. And China keep threatening America, if y'all jump in with Taiwan, there's going to be a war. But at the same time, it's just a lot of stuff going on between China and America that just do not make sense. And they both got the same problem with the population control. So are they working together to get rid of the population? I don't know. It's just something going on that don't make sense. And I'm going to share some video with you.
In fact, Russia exported more oil in April than it did before the war. And high oil prices mean Moscow is raking in money. That's one reason Europe is considering banning Russian oil. Current sanctions are not hurting Moscow enough. But Europe gets more of its oil from Russia than from anywhere else. It would have to make up for those banned barrels somewhere else. And that won't be easy. And it's likely to push oil prices everywhere up even further. When Russia invaded Ukraine, sanctions aimed to starve the Russian economy. But the sanctions didn't touch Russia's energy exports. That's largely because Europe depends on them. Several big Europe-based energy companies have said they will stop buying Russian oil.
But the case is still that a lot of that crude is going into European countries. Very few have halted flows.
Cargo tracking firm Kepler says Russia's exports to Europe dropped a bit in March and April, but not much.
As a number of these European countries have realized that, yes, they're being chastised, yes, they're being named and shamed for taking these crude and products, there isn't anything to stop them actually taking it still. And so then we've seen them continuing. And so there hasn't really been much of a change. And it appears there won't be much of a change until we see an embargo or sanctions put on those flows.
China claims it stopped harvesting prisoners' organs in 2015. But in 2019, the tribunal found that the constant supply of organs available in Chinese hospitals could only be coming from executions.
Makes you think of some grotesque restaurant where you go in and you pick your lobster in a tank. But these are human beings we're talking about.
Chinese surgeon Dr. Enver Tohti was a key whistleblower for the tribunal.
This photo is probably the only photo I can find as a surgeon. This is me.
Once a highly skilled surgeon, he now lives in political exile in London, earning a scant living as an Uber driver.
One day, my chief surgeon asked me, said, "Do you want to do something wild?" He said, "We are going to the execution ground." Oh, I was panicking. Why I'm going to the execution ground? Not only me, the nurse and my assistant, everybody was panicking. What are we going to do? Our job is to save people. Why we are going to go to the execution ground? You can see there are more than 10 people got shot already. And they were wearing prisoner's uniform. And the head was shaved, like mine. And then the bullet comes through here and out from here. So this part is blown away. And they briefed me. Do as quick as possible, remove the liver and 2 kidneys. Then I thought he's alive. My chief surgeon was standing to my left. Said, "Okay, cut here, through that way, go quickly." Because that kind of operation, that thing in China is illegal. It is encouraged by the state. We got brainwashed from this kindergarten. So if anybody got shot because he's executed, that means he's enemy of the state.
This is large-scale illegal organ harvesting. And the targets are Uyghurs, Tibetans, Falun Gong members. These are innocent people who are killed by the communist regime. It seems that Falun Gong members, especially, were targeted, had their organs harvested because they live these clean lifestyles with no smoking, no alcohol. We know that in 2006 alone, 11,000 tourists went to China to get an organ. The fact that in China, one can receive a kidney in a matter of hours points out to the fact that China is meeting this demand very probably by killing people.
And the arrogance of the Americans, the bulliness of the Americans. Let me even throw it on the west side. America right now comes to Tanzania, comes to Ghana, comes to Zambia with 16 million. And guess what? 16 million only for Zambia. The 16 million, ask me, what is it for? What is it for? For human rights. Across the river, China and Russia coming to South Africa, ask me for what? For what? For a military training and skills sharing of security. So the Americans are more interested in a transgender, homosexual agenda around the world. They will invest their money and give you money to protect human rights. Russia and China are coming with weapons and militarization strategies so that we can protect ourselves. So I want to say this very loud and clear to the Americans. Continue on your transgender agenda. Stay there. Leave us to do politics on the other side. Because what we need right now is not a minority human rights activation. What we need is a societal transformation. And for you as Americans to think that we really envy that when you have an anti-lesbian, anti-gay, LGBT principle, then tourists would drop. Let me correct that once and for all, Sbu. And cut and clip this, and it must be loud and clear. Are you saying to me that all the tourists are gay? And when you hear that this is a non-gay zone, tourism will suffer? Question number one. Question number two. Are you saying that we don't have a right to expressing ourselves as Africans? Question number three. If democracy means majority rules and majority votes against a principle, then why won't you allow that to become law?
You wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan.
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement. This paper that you are referring to was judged by qualified staff up and down the chain as not being gain of function. Let me finish.
You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans,
right.
You're saying that's not gain of function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially. You do not know what you are talking about. Okay, you get
NIH,
one person.
Let's read from the NIH definition of gain of function. This is your definition that you guys wrote. It says that scientific research that increases the transmissibility among mammals is gain of function. They took animal viruses that only occur in animals and they increased their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function?
It is not.
It's a dance, and you're dancing around this because you're trying to obscure responsibility for 4 million people dying around the world from a pandemic.
This new report from the Republican leadership of the Senate Health Committee took a thorough review of the scientific evidence and the circumstantial evidence, things like a mysterious spike in flu-like illnesses in Wuhan months before China acknowledged the new virus was circulating there. And this report reaches some tentative but startling conclusions. This morning, a new report from congressional investigators concludes that the preponderance of circumstantial evidence points to an accidental lab leak as the most plausible origin of the COVID pandemic that has killed nearly 7 million people, and that there could have been more than one lab leak.
I think that's the most important thing from the study, that this came from an unintentional lab leak.
The report, released by Republicans on the Senate Health Subcommittee, makes a circumstantial case that sometime before September 2019, that's months before the Chinese government alerted the World Health Organization of a mysterious contagion circulating through Wuhan, an undetected leak at the Wuhan Institute of Virology occurred, causing lab workers to be infected with what would become known as COVID-19.
To start with, maybe just 1 or 2 people were infected with the virus. And then later on, during the vaccine development, is when most likely this had a bigger leak.
A bigger leak. Investigators believe that another accident at the lab may have happened while Chinese researchers were attempting to develop a vaccine for COVID-19 as early as November 2019. So they were looking for a vaccine for a coronavirus that then got out of the lab?
Yeah, so that would be the theory.
But some virus experts claim this is just one theory of many.
And unfortunately, the scientific community has had its hands tied because of the lack of data. So we need more data to unlock this mystery, to really, for once and for all, figure out what actually took place in Wuhan.
And there's one thing nearly everyone agrees on. China could clear up this mystery and dispel suspicions if they shared information about what that lab was doing and what viruses it housed. But they won't.
2 miles from our office, just across the Brooklyn Bridge, this nondescript office building in the heart of bustling Chinatown in Lower Manhattan, secret. Until several months ago, an entire floor of this building hosted an undeclared police station of the Chinese National Police. Now just imagine the NYPD opening an undeclared secret police station in Beijing. It would be unthinkable.
In a statement, the DOJ said the 2 men allegedly opened the police station at the order of Chinese authorities. The reported order came from a local branch of China's Ministry of Public Security, a government body in charge of China's public security. The 2 defendants both live in New York. Harry Liu Jianwang lives in the Bronx, while Chen Jinping is based in Manhattan. Both were scheduled to appear in court in Brooklyn Monday. Beijing operates a network of over 100 similar police outposts in other countries. Chinese authorities say these offices help overseas Chinese with their passport services. Human rights groups say they help Beijing harass and track down dissidents living in the U.S. Ireland and the Netherlands have ordered outposts in their territories to close. More than 10 countries have started investigating the issue. Previous reports say there are still 2 other stations open on American soil. One in Los Angeles, the other in an unknown location. It's unclear whether they're still in operation. Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Election meddling by China. Not Biden, not Trump, but Obama. That's what prosecutors are alleging, with $30 million on the line. That money said to have been poured into Obama's 2012 campaign by a financier linked to the Chinese Communist Party. And testifying at the trial is Hollywood superstar Leonardo DiCaprio. But it all starts with a rapper. Here's the story.
Pras Michel is a founding member of the 1990s hip-hop group The Fugees. He's currently on trial for an alleged campaign finance conspiracy. Federal prosecutors say Michel was enmeshed in political conspiracies involving millions of dollars in foreign money under 2 different U.S. presidents. He's accused of funneling money from a fugitive Malaysian financier through straw donors to former President Obama's 2012 re-election campaign. That Malaysian financier is named Joe Low. Actor Leonardo DiCaprio testified at Michel's trial this week, saying Low planned on giving a significant donation to the Democratic Party that was somewhere to the tune of 20 to 30 million. DiCaprio says he then replied, "Wow, that's a lot of money." Prosecutors say Michel received $21 million from Low. The DOJ says Low and Michel started the conspiracy to gain access to and influence Obama. U.S. law makes it illegal for foreigners to donate directly or indirectly to U.S. campaigns. Michel allegedly attempted to conceal the funding. The musician has denied the allegations. Michel is also accused of lobbying the Trump administration for the Chinese Communist Party. The party's goal was allegedly for the U.S. to send Chinese dissident Guo Wangui back to China. Just 3 weeks ago, U.S. prosecutors arrested Guo. They're accusing him of orchestrating a scheme to defraud more than $1 billion from his online followers. Michel's lawyers have previously said he's innocent and extremely disappointed in the charges. The defense decided to wait to give its opening statement in the trial that's expected to last weeks.
As you can see in the videos that you just watched, that's why I have a concern about what's really going on between America and China, because a lot of things do not make sense. And they're still doing business with China. There's still trade between America and China. There's still people, we had a police station from China over here in America, and they're trying to say, oh, we don't know about that. I don't know how that happened. I feel that you should know what's going on in your country. You got an open border that you still haven't closed. And like I said, it's a population issue, but you still got people coming in. It's a food shortage, but you still have people coming in. We have economic hardship in America, but you still got people coming in. So like I said, is America and China a mirror image of each other? Are they yin and yang? Are they working together? Like I said, in the front, they butting heads, behind the back, they holding hands. I don't know, but I just wanted to share my thoughts, my opinion with you. I hope everyone is having a great day. Peace.